one question there.
Thanks, Bruno. Yeah, Paul Janelio, First Wessex. We're a housing association. I'd like to just firstly say thanks to David for reminding all designers that real people actually live in buildings. It's very important. I think it's easy to forget that when designing to minimum standards sometimes. And one question I'd like to ask straight away is, to what extent is the current housing crisis stifling the whole quality and comfort agenda? But I just want to comment about overheating. It's a very real problem for First Wessex. It's not peculiar to us, but I'm currently dealing with homes that were built in the last couple of years, built to high sustainable housing standards, which are overheating, and to the extent where residents are actually taking out windows that are restricted because they can't sleep at night. And the best compliment I've had in 30 years of working in the construction sector was when I took a portable air conditioning out to a disabled lady on the 1st of July. And it seems that we're designing some minimum building regulations which are all about health and safety, and yet we have the Housing Health and Safety Rating System, which says that over 25 degrees centigrade for long periods of time, the risk of mortality increases. And this just seems really cart and horse, because we know that building regulations and SAP modelling aren't adequately picking up overheating. And, why is this? That's something I'd like to ask. And you're absolutely right, that whole joined up thinking with the NHS and, how we could actually save money if we invest in this and get this right. So, thank you.
Something about that. So first of all, I'm actually living in one of those flats that overheat, so I completely understand where you're coming from. And I think your points there are very, very poignant. To what extent, because of the lack of housing, people just get whatever. And so I do wonder to what extent people will be bothered even about the comfort proposition, if that's the only housing that it's there and I can afford it. I think the other issue that you bring up is quite important. I'm chair of the UK Indoor Environments Group, and we're also trying to lobby, if you like, to try and a greater policy connection about indoor environments and health. At the moment, there is no one government department looking at these who is responsible for these. As David was saying, health is embedded in building regulation in a very indirect way. So I think there needs to be a strategy at very high level to try and understand how does this work at policy level, how do we get all the professionals involved, and if the government doesn't want to do it, then I guess the industry and the other agencies need to kind of push the other end. Yeah, thank you. Any other one would like to make a comment on this point?
Yeah, just on the point really of the links of housing and health. I think we probably all know of various people. There are various sort of studies that have either sort of taken place or taking place at the moment in terms of more controlled experiments, if you like, in terms of housing associations or providers that are doing fairly similar developments, one to sort of standard regulations, one to a more holistic design that's sort of taking in those kind of factors. But the project is being done in association with both the housing provider and the local area of the NHS as well, so that they're actually monitoring how doctors' visits, sort of numbers change, number of prescriptions, so on and so forth. So to actually trying to prove the direct sort of link quantitatively to really sort of accelerate that.
Yeah, I think I was alluding to it earlier. I think we don't realise we live in a pretty mild maritime climate, and whilst that is no good if you've got a really horrible old leaky house, of course, but if you've got something pretty modern, from an energy balance point of view, perhaps we've been overdoing it, from the insulation side, and not thinking about optimization, and I also think the building physics now is wrong, actually. It's just fundamentally wrong. I think we're conceiving of it the wrong way. So I'm looking for the design professions to do a better job, to be quite frank about it.